Nice to be here. Guys, I think it's time to... let me see if I have the presentation. Not yet. But I think it's time to wake up a little bit. I'm always somebody who brings the energy. I like to call it the funk. I will tell you what it is. But today we're going to talk about how you can avoid just playing catching up, following others, what they are doing, and using a little bit of speed, creativity, and funk to actually challenge the status quo and actually stand out, right? It connects to the Steve's lecture when he was talking about AI going hand in hand with humans. You know, everybody's going to use AI, right? We need to do something different and add a little bit of funk to that. So, as Biljana said, my name is Nemanja Zivkovic. I'm the founder of the Funky Marketing Consulting Company and also Business Talks Network, which is a business community in Novi Sad. Also, I'm a host of Funky B2B Marketing Podcast. If you like to learn about marketing, strategy, creativity, and all those things that we're going to talk about today, I encourage you to follow, to check out the podcast, and let's get connected. What I do, I help companies find their unique advantage, show it to their potential customers, use it to differentiate and facilitate the sales. Because I work in B2B, specifically in B2B tech, and in that environment, marketing facilitates sales, and it needs to actually pave the way for the sale to happen, right? A lot of companies are doing it wrong way, are doing it differently. So to kind of kick off with that, can I ask all of you to stand up? Oh, actually, that was easier than I thought. Nice. I think you all needed a little bit of exercise in the morning, right? So why did I ask you that? Because we are all living in a world somebody else created. We are all playing by somebody else's rules. Now, I'm the one setting up the rules, right? I'm the speaker. I ask you to stand up, and you stand up. And I'm 100% sure there is somebody in the crowd saying, why the fuck this guy asked me to stand up? Why do I need to do this? It's still morning. I just had my coffee. Why do I need to do that? And I'm looking exactly for those kind of people. You little rebels that are doubting everything and trying to do everything your own way, right? There are guys that, my friends that draw me here, they didn't stand up, they doubt everything, right? That's what we do, from Serbia. Usually we doubt people. But the goal of this lecture is to teach you how to stand up, how to break the mold and challenge the norm. Break somebody else's rules. Let's create our own rules and be a leaders, not followers, because I think that's what's missing in today's world, especially in B2B. You can now sit down. Thank you. So let's talk about B2B, specifically B2B SaaS space. Software as a service, if somebody doesn't know. So this is the map, actually, from 2024, with just a portion of B2B tech SaaS companies. MarTech companies. So it's not even all of them. There are 30,000 plus companies offering nearly identical solutions. So using the same technology, having the same features, having even the same people, just changing the companies. So we need to find something to be able to differentiate, because if we are now building the company or trying to get into the new category or trying to get into the subcategory and do something different, it's enough to just look at that photo with all the competitors out there and, be frozen and afraid. So let's see how we can break down from those things. Because in B2B, things are done the same way for years. Right? When I entered the B2B space in 2020, people were still talking about companies as factories, right? Not as a group of people inside the company that are making the decision to buy from us, and we need to know how they are doing their job so we are able to sell to them. right? And B2B selling is actually solving a problem. You need to remember that. So the first thing we're going to talk about today is speed. Speed is what separates the leaders and sets apart the leading brands. So we need to be a leapfroggers and actually get somewhere before somebody else does. You're probably seeing a lot of this with AI and a lot of different companies, but most of these categories are just bullshit. Because AI, that doesn't mean anything. Adding AI to a technology to solve the existing problem, that can mean something. Slack and Zoom are the perfect examples of constant iterations to get to the goal. They launch fast, they gather feedback, and they iterate it, right? They just build something. They started with that, and they continue to build. Like Zoom really exploded during the COVID-19 pandemic. They had just a few of the features that they have now, but people ask for them, right? We were all closed in apartments. We needed to do something different, and Zoom was the first option, and they were able to help us actually get ahead of that. So speed is actually the new currency of business, and we need to get into that and iterate. I'm going to tell you a few more examples. When you start creating content, for example, let's talk about LinkedIn. It can be for your own profile, it can be for the company. Usually people say, what should I post about? What my content should be about? And if you're working in corporations, there's a possibility that there are 10 eyeballs on everything marketing does. And it brings the politics inside the companies, all the biases, and everybody have an opinion about marketing. Everybody knows marketing. Do they? It actually brings you to the paralysis when nobody does anything. And it gets us to the situation when they say, what are you doing when it comes to your marketing, when it comes to your content? Oh, I'm preparing a post. Okay, now it's November. When it's going out, when the post will be out? Possibly next September. Right? It happens. It really happens. And a lot of smaller companies who actually don't have those kind of politics install the politics so they can act like bigger ones. They look at the competitors, they look at the leaders, and they say, we're going to add the same structure as they have. And they make a mistake. They kill one of their biggest advantages, which is speed. To give you a number, content platform fit, which is actually nailing the right content for the right audience on the right platform, takes for 12 months to 2 years. For 12 months to 2 years. So you don't know what's working. It's not me to tell you what's working. It's not your customers. It's not your clients. Nobody's following? That's just the lie that I said. Okay, your customers will tell you what's right. So you need to produce, get something out, get the feedback, then build up on that, optimize, and only then automate things. When you know what they are reacting to, what's the right content. It's the same if you build the software, it's the same if you build the content marketing machine. So you need to adapt continuously to all those things. But to be able to do that, you need to know your customers. Right, I got into the B2B in 2019 after working for 10 years with B2C. And I had 2 months to figure out what I'm going to do. I had like 9,000 followers on LinkedIn, 6,000 connections, I think. So I had, in 2 months, 260, 270 calls, like online coffees with different people. And I saw the gap, startly starting to show, which is, companies are moving from looking at sales as transactional to looking at more as a relationship-based. And just communicating that, we were able to close 47 clients in the first year only on LinkedIn, only through content and organic. 47 clients, those were not the small clients, all of them, let me tell you. So you need to figure out how to embrace the change and make the change your daily habit. You need to learn how to live with the change because that's the only thing that you can do today if you want to be successful. So if you go first, you are the one defining the market. The quicker you act, the quicker you shape the whole narrative. I work with a company in spend management, a software company, and they were moving along with their competitors, like growing with the market. And it usually feels like you are winning. Oh, but we are growing. If you are growing only with the market, it means that you are already there, you just don't know it. Why? Because you are not innovating. Possibility is that your competitors are innovating. And I was lucky, to be honest, to be working with them because they were the ones who innovated. And what did we do? We added a couple more features and came up with totally different branding, everything get ahead of the competitors. And we won just like that by being first and being the first to innovate. We left the competitors in the dust. And it's sad that so many companies don't actually understand the whole ecosystem and how it moves. Doing the same and steady, slow, it's okay if that's your goal. If your goal is to win, then, that's something else. So being the first actually gives you a chance to gain the momentum. And does anybody remember this ad, maybe? So I mentioned Zoom. Now I'm adding Whereby. They are competitors, right? And Whereby had the ad which said, the New York Times says we do marketing better than Zoom. What does it mean? Who is the category leader here? Anybody? Zoom, yeah, exactly. By showing this ad and communicating like this, Whereby position themselves as the second best. They shoot themselves in the leg right there. So this is how things work. Zoom was the first one. They say, I'm better than Zoom. Then Zoom is the one that I want, right? Usually that's how it goes. Let me give you one more example. You see a lot of companies have this kind of blue branding. And when I ask them, why do you have blue branding, blue ads, those kind of things, they say, oh, we are targeting enterprise-level customers, clients, companies, and we want to look just like them. Right? But guess what? They are already the leaders. They can use blue because it shows the trust, it shows that they are stable, those kind of things. So when smaller companies try to imitate them, they go straightly to lead gen, meaning digital sales. Let's try to sell them. Let's try to get people to download the ebook, and that's it. But they are not ready to buy. In B2B, somebody buys maybe once in 5 years. So what happens? In time, when they are ready to buy, they go to Google, or they go to social, and they try to find that company, the blue one that they remember. You guess that they don't choose you, right? Because the first one comes up, the leader, that one competitor. So you are actually creating the awareness for your competitors and you are not even aware of it. Okay, number 2 is creativity. Extremely important to figure out what creativity is. It's often misunderstood. It's not just a tagline, it's not just an image, it's not just the branding, it's not just the logo. That's not what creativity means. Creativity is actually your competitive edge, and it has a lot more things to offer than just colors and visual appearance. Let's see. It's not just for B2C. A lot of companies in B2B say, oh, but our products are boring. How can we make fun of selling, I don't know, some equipment for the factories? That's boring. Well, it's not just about making something interesting, right? It's not a nice to have. And, think about it. You have creativity in so many different ways in the way we do things. Creativity in B2B is about discovering innovative ways to solve real business problems, challenges, and how you communicate your value, the value that you have, and how that value resonates with your target audience. So, go back to the photo, 30,000 competitors. they're all doing the same. If you go to the B2B SaaS companies' websites, they all have animations. They all look the same. If you go and look at, they all create those kind of videos like, I'm gonna guide you through the demo, or those kind of things, and it's never the real person. It's usually a video created by somebody else, and let's go through it. Not how to do it, and not how you stand up. Creativity is something that gives you that edge that goes along with branding. And especially, it shows in the messaging and how you communicate. So let's take a look at a few things regarding all that. So when I started the company, I knew that I wanted to communicate things differently. But I want to show myself as who I am, right? So I'm the guy who wears Jordans, or some other sneakers, but I love sneakers. I love to communicate that. I'm somebody who likes epic fantasy, so I added that to the communication. I love forest, I love the whole ecosystem, I even have it tattooed on my hand. So that's another thing. And I like to dance. My company is called Funky Marketing, I like funk. And the name came from a situation when Marvin Gaye was singing the national anthem for the first time. He was forgotten by everybody, dealing with depression, with drugs, those kind of things. When he came in, he sang the national anthem just like he would sing Let's Get It On. Right? If you go and look up for that version of the national anthem on YouTube, I assure you one of the comments will be, it is the first and the last time somebody made babies while listening to the national anthem. That's how different that was. And that's the vibe that I was trying to create. I gave Gamma AI this kind of information, they created the visual. So you need to think about how you can use the humans that you have. That's why you have thought leadership. How everybody from the company communicates, how the way you solve the problem differently. About the features, they communicate it differently. So let's go and see a couple of examples. HubSpot, you all know it. Probably you used it or you use it. You would say, like, what HubSpot has to do with creativity? Well, it revolutionized B2B marketing with inbound approach and setting a new standard for industry strategies. We talk about attract, engage, and delight because of them, right? And even today, they are the ones who are innovating through thought leadership and influencer marketing in B2B. Another company that's doing that is Wix. I was working with them and setting up the whole stage for B2B influencer marketing campaign. And in B2B, we call them subject matter experts or key opinion leaders. Yeah, thank you. That's the thing that I was missing. Okay, so another example. Do you know about Drift? Anybody? Okay. Drift is American hypergrowth company, and the thing they did, they knew that they wanted to create a product for the product people. And they were lucky that they were living in Boston when there are tons of SaaS companies. Right, so they started organizing executive dinners, gathering them around and listening to what they're saying, what are their problems, those kind of things. And the thing that stood out was they hate forms on the websites. They hate forms because companies don't respond to them. It's too slow, it's not engaging, it's not dynamic. So what they say, okay, we're going to create chatbots for the website so they communicate with people. But they didn't say we're going to name them chatbots, right? Everybody else does that. So we're going to name them conversational marketing. And to be able to communicate that and stand out, to build the hypergrowth, what do we need to do? We need to do a lot of things differently, right? So they say, okay, we're going to write a book about conversational marketing. It will help us create the category and establish us as the leaders. We are the first one getting into the conversational marketing. Alongside that, they created a podcast when they were like the CMO, Dave Gerhardt, and David Cancel, the CEO. They were even giving each other names like nephew and uncle, and there was a hip hop in the intro and all the vibe coming from that. And when you buy Conversational Marketing, the book, we bought them in my last agency that I work at. 2 weeks after that, we got another book by post. And it says, this won't scale. 41 plays for Drift marketing team to help your business cut through the noise, grow faster than the competitors, and thrill your customers. So they actually sent us for free another book, around 40 pages, when they said the things that they have done that can scale, that help them build the hypergrowth company. It's actually the book that I gave to each current and new employee to read, to learn about how to think about marketing, how to be crafty, and how to do things differently. It's for free, I think, online. You can find it somewhere. So this is the way that you use creativity. Totally different. While this all was happening, Drift was also the first company that blew up on LinkedIn. Their employees have all the same T-shirts with Drift logo. They were all engaged in the comments, having posts, those kind of things, and it blew up. And they created a hypergrowth company. So that's the way to think about creativity. Okay, now the last part, funk. The company is called Funky Marketing because the way I define funk is the groove that makes you want to move, right? That's the official definition if you go to Google and Google it. We're going to see why, but it's something that turns your brand from a business into a movement. And funk keeps people invested and engaged. Now, do you know who this is? Cool. Why is David Bowie here, and what the hell does he have to do with B2B marketing? So, B2B, I'm going to talk about Bowie later, but here's a story. So in 70s, people were afraid of the aliens. All the green ones or gray ones, however, we perceive them, but they were afraid. Fear was the emotion that was, everywhere. They weren't feeling like us, like, aliens. They were afraid. And the first one that changed the tide was David Bowie, believe it or not. How? Well, he was writing songs and publishing them and singing them and have different albums, those kind of things, but his main audience were teenagers. And they were actually writing letters to David Bowie. Aaron Ginsberg, the writer, actually said that and gave a proof of that. So they would use his lyrics and rewrite them in their own language, and then send them back to Bowie. And he collected them, he read them, he talked to them, and then he came up with Ziggy and the Stardust. The whole movement. When he was dressed like this, like an alien, and all of them have different hair colors, different things, different appearance on the stage, and he wrote a song, Spaceman, and many others. I don't know if you know the Spaceman, but basically he used the song to say, like, aliens want to come join us, but they can't because they feel like they're going to hurt us, so they use the radio to communicate with us. And on the radio, they say, let the children boogie. And actually, that was the album and the song that kind of started the whole movement of revolution at the time, and when youth was starting to, express themselves differently. So he was the counter-influencers at the time. He challenged the norms with characters like Starman and Ziggy Stardust, and each new album was a totally new experience. He did the customer research, which a lot more companies don't do these days. I don't know why we skip that part, but it's essential. I don't like to talk about AI. When people ask me, I say, go and talk to your customers. Know them better than they know themselves. He listened deeply and integrated all the things into his work. And he had the cultural impact on a huge scale. So he created a movement. It wasn't just a rock album, pop album. It was a rock opera at the time. It's totally different things. I try to find a documentary about Bowie or different things and implement that in your work. I always say to people, find inspiration outside of business. Their business is music in other parts of our lives. So adding funk takes you beyond the awareness. I see usually companies focus on two things. First one is awareness, right? We're gonna be visible, that's okay. And we're gonna educate people until they die. And this is only thing that we're gonna do. We're not gonna ask them to buy anytime. So on the other hand, there are other people who say, buy, nothing else. I'm just here to sell you, right? And we don't think about the middle, which is where the magic happens, in the middle. So we need to think about middle of the funnel. And funk turns those people who see you into the people who are actually engaging with you. And, you know, communicating on social, sending you messages, listening to your podcast, those kind of things. So you need to think about that. And it goes along with creating the community and creating spaces for customers to connect with you and with each other. And one more thing which is extremely important today. I don't like to talk about funnels because I think they're bullshit today, but feedback loops aren't. If you think about a lot of companies like Spotify uses feedback loops, like Netflix uses feedback loops, Airbnb uses feedback loops. What does it mean? It means giving your customers something to work with. To give you like a small examples, it's the end of the year. If you are using Spotify, you will soon receive the yearly playlist, right? When they give you the songs that you listen to the most, the kind of the genres and all these things. And at the end, they did it at least last year. I don't know if they will do it this year. They added a dedicated message from your favorite artist, the one you listen to the most. Like they didn't say your name because of course they created one video, but it makes it special, right? And then you share it. And it creates the growth loops. A lot more people find out about that feature, about Spotify, and it goes on and on and on. It never stops. These are the growth loops. So funk is something that keeps people engaged. We have awareness. From awareness, we go to interest. And from interest, we go to engagement. And engagement is the lifeline of your brand. So let's see how we can do that. Through interactive content. On LinkedIn, what's buzzing now is co-creating content with other people, with your customers, with your partners, with other people. If you're just writing content, nobody reacts to it, so you need to co-create it with other people. That's why, you know, Q&A sessions, engaging product demos, interactive elements, LinkedIn Lives, those kind of things. Then start from that and build the community around it and encourage the feedback. Feedback is essential if you want to create the growth loops. Find a way to make feedback a part of everything you do. Funk isn't just about standing out. It's about creating a rhythm that your audience wants to join. And I always say, if you don't want to end up standing alone in the corner on your own party, in your own room, you need to bring that a little bit of funk into everything you do. Right? So, formula, speed, creativity, and funk.
So let's funk.
Ready to break the mold?
Yes.